Okay, it's 10:02. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar with Lumens on the topic Lecture Capture Systems. We will start the presentation shortly. Note on data protection in advance. We would like to share your personal data such as name, the company you work for, and your personal email address with the manufacturer Lumens for marketing purposes. If you do not want to to let this happen, please object this in writing and use the chat function in Teams. At this point, I would like to introduce Joris Nevens, who is the General Manager for Lumens in Europe, who will give today's presentation. With these words, I would like now to hand over to Joris and wish an informative event for everyone.
Yep. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here this morning. I will not take too long in this. I just want to say, if there are questions during the session, please raise your hand, or after the session, we will make a bit of time to answer all of your questions. If I cannot answer them, for sure, I will send them to the technical team and we will come back as quickly as possible. So as Leon told today, the topic of today is lecture capture, or our CaptureVision lineup of systems. First, what is the system? The system in big, it can switch between different sources. You can produce a program, a live output. You can create different layout, different scenes, overlays, and then of course you can record them. What is important, we have 2-channel, 4-channel recording devices. What you can do is you can record the individual file plus the program you created. We can do the same thing with the stream. So you can record it locally or on a server and stream it out on the web at the same time. As I told you, we can store it on multiple ways. I will show you later how to do. And then, of course, we can share it out into the world and with the people. Then, how do we do this? Or when you set up, you start, and how do you control the device? You can do that by just plugging in a mouse, a touch screen, an HDMI source to a TV, and you can start setting up your device. And then the second thing you need to do before you produce is you need to make your layouts. For this, we have an easy to use intuitive software that is free to use, and you can create your scenes picture in picture, side by side. You add an extra overlay, you add an extra text, and that you put into the system. And then you want to set up your encoding for the recording and the streaming. What do I mean by encoding? What do I need to do? Let's say you say, I want to record the program and the channels. Then you need to say to the system, voila, when I hit recording, you record the individual channels plus the program. And then you can say, okay, I want to stream out on a lower resolution, because I don't want to use too much bandwidth. But what I record, that needs to be 4K, 1080p recording with high quality. So that you need to set up in the beginning. And then it's as easy as that. We can start streaming. We stream to locally an RTSP. So you can just send on the local network a stream or an NDI-HX, depending on which model you have, or even a full NDI. We can also stream to the known streaming platforms, YouTube, Facebook. We can stream to vMix, Wirecast. We can all do that. We have set up profiles for them, or if you want to set it up to a dedicated server, you can just set up your RTMP or RTMPS stream. And then we work together with a lot of learning platforms like Panopto, Kaltura, OpenCast. So that means you can stream immediately your content to their platform. But we also integrate with them so that you don't need to set everything up. You can do everything from the learning program. So the teacher has or the professor has Panopto or Kaltura. He just hit, now I want to record, voila, and it will start streaming to the platform servers. And of course, we can also locally store it on an FTP server, NFS server, everything you need. we can store it locally as a backup. We have a dedicated internal storage, so we always recommend to store it also locally, that if something happens with your network connection, you always have, in a way, a backup on your system. And then we talk a bit more about the scheduling part or the control part of the device. Of course, you don't need to always hit start and stop button on the device. We can do easy scheduling. Easy scheduling means you have an Outlook account or a Gmail account or anything else. You can just upload together with the metadata this agenda into the device, and it will start recording, stop recording, go to standby. We have a remote management system where you can log into, and then you can see all of your lecture capture systems, but also all of your cameras, where you can then control them, do a firmware update, get layouts from one into another, so that you don't need to individually go and install every device, but you can do that from the remote manager. And then we also work with our partners where you can control these devices over the well-known players in this world. And then we have a little bit of features. We can add, when you are doing a webinar like this, we could have start by webinar starts in 20 minutes. So you have a clock, or if there is a pause in between, you just have an easy button, you click, there will be always a message showing, hey, I am on a coffee break, or we will come back later. And then for control, we have on the front different buttons. These buttons can be used to switch layout, start a stream, stop a stream. But if you say, hey, I don't want them to be used because, yeah, the professor doesn't need to play with it, we can, of course, lock them. And then as a last, we have a dedicated panel, which is named the RC01. You see that here on the right. What is this panel? Let's say your device is standing in a server room very far away. So the buttons you cannot use. You don't want to have a touchscreen in front of you because you say, hey, I just need 3 layouts and I want to switch in between them. Then we have this panel. So you see 3 buttons that can trigger 3 actions. That is not only a layout change, but a macro it will call up a preset, and it will call up a layout change, an overlay, but more about that later. I can also start a stream from there, start a recording, and if I want, I have a USB key. I can make remotely a backup on a USB key. Again, for hospitals, this is sometimes important. We can also disable the function of the USB. That is on request from the customer. So what is the workflow? What are the connections? What can we all do with the lecture capture device? So as Lumens, we are strong in the IP world, so we say all of our lecture capture devices, they can take in an RTSP stream from our cameras or from any other input, as long as it's a standard RTSP stream. Hoop, you connect them into the lecture capture system. For 2, we have dedicated specific models who do NDI high bandwidth and NDI-HX low bandwidth. So then you can connect also full NDI and NDI-HX sources into our system. Of course, we support SDI if you want high quality and long distance, and we take in HDMI sources as well. Depending on the model, limitations are 1080p or 4K as an input resolution. And as a last, we can also take in USB webcams, USB cameras. And then this was all video. For the sound, we can use, of course, USB microphones and XLR or mini jack line inputs, depending on the lecture capture system the customer chooses. When you have inputs, of course, you have outputs as well. So on the audio side, on the new unit, the LC300, we have XLR out also. So you have XLR in and XLR out to send back into your room. And we always have a mini jack out as well. Then we start the video and the audio, so we can send video out again on HDMI or on SDI. But we can also do that, combine that with a program out, so with the audio. So the HDMI and the SDI are not only out for video, but also for the audio part. Then we can start doing a live stream. So that means, depending on the model, it's always RTSP, but we can also do full NDI out or NDI HX out. We can go to a streaming server, as we told before, over RTMP, RTMPS. That means every platform available. We can send the video out to network storages, as we discussed before, and to learning platforms. And then on the new device, we also go USB out. Why do we go USB out? Because we see there was a big demand for people who want to send the mix into a Teams. And before, what did we recommend to the customer? If it's a short distance, you take the program out of the system over HDMI, you convert that HDMI signal into USB, and there you go. You could add the system into the PC. You see, again, we have another box from another brand. If you wanted to go the distance, again, your lecture capture system is standing far away in a server room. You could go over RTSP or NDI, full NDI, convert it to HDMI, and then again, convert it to USB. So that was what we recommended to our customers when they wanted to use the lecture capture system on Teams. Now, Lumens also comes with a new solution. It's called the OIP N60D. And that's a little box that is taking an RTSP or an NDI-HX that is coming from the lecture capture system, sending it over the network. So short distance, long distance, as long as we're within 100 meters, it is fine. And then it converts it immediately to USB. So that means you don't need two converters to go from IP to HDMI to USB or a shorter HDMI. We can use the stream out to go immediately into Teams. So that's a way how to take your lecture capture system, stream it out into your Teams. And then we can go a little bit more into how to control the device. So there are IP cameras, the layout, how do you control that? We control that by keyboard and mouse or by a touchscreen that I will show you later how to do. We can do that always over a web browser or over our remote system. So that means as long as you have a VPN, you can do it from everywhere, or anybody in the network that has the passport can start controlling the device remotely. As I discussed before, we have the RC01, which is aimed more at the user to do quick changes. It's not a lot of buttons, is because we believe the more buttons you put on a device, the more people will lose what they need to do. You can control, as discussed before, through Panopto or Extron, Crestron in that matter. And then I promised you a bit more about the macros. So when you are a broadcast producer, you know what I mean? You don't need macros. You want to select your input, your layout. You want to set up your preset yourself. Why? Because you have time, because you have people. But let's say you are a one-man band, you know, and you need to change your layout, your scene on the fly. You don't want to go touch 7 buttons to get a layout. So what do we give you? We give you different macros. And what is a macro? It consists out of a layout. You see, you just select the layout that you want, a scene that you want to use. Then you select which channel you want to have where. And then, because when it's a Lumens camera, I have to say, when it's a Lumens or a Visca over IP camera, we can also set presets to the cameras. So that means, you know, you have first camera 1, then camera 2, but you want this picture-in-picture shot of both of them. And after that, you want a side-by-side, very much close-up. Okay, you can start touching a lot of buttons behind each other to do that. Or you just create this picture-in-picture shot with a preset before, macro 1, for example. And then you have macro 2, meaning this is a side-by-side of the lead singer plus the violin player in this case. And then I want to look for the lead guitarist and I want to activate motion tracking. So that means you have everything on your fingertips. You just have to push the macros and you get your layout. We minimize the amount of inputs you need to do to get a good shot. Okay, we talked a little bit about the capability of the devices. Now we talk about the devices themselves. So in big, we have three devices divided in the amount of channels they can record or they can take and the input and output resolution. So the LC300 is the first. It's the newest unit we launched recently. It's our 4K resolution unit. So what can it do? It can record 4 channels at the same time. When I say 4 channels, that means, okay, you decide which input you take per channel and you start recording and streaming, but you can change the channel. So for example, channel 1 can be an HDMI, can be an IP camera, can be a full NDI. So you can change that on the fly, but the maximum is 4 channels at the same time. We can then record and stream these 4 channels, and we can also record and stream the program. Why do you want to record the individual channels? Is okay, I did my webinar, I did my recording, but afterwards I want to do post-production, so then you need high quality recordings of the individual channels. And then locally, we offer you a 4 terabyte storage. Again, you can add USB storage as well, but the 4 terabyte comes into the device. And for the rest, we have 3G SDI, HDMI, USB IP, full NDI, so NDI high bandwidth and NDI HX. I go over this very quickly, but you know, we have the team at Exertis that can help you to find the right lecture capture system. So these were the video inputs, and then we also still have USB for audio, XLR, line in and out for the audio part. And then we have the CaptureVision, the LC300S. This one is coming at the end of the summer. The only change is we add 12G SDI. So 12G SDI is our way to get over SDI 4K images in. With the LC300, you had to do the 4K over HDMI or IP, NDI or NDI checks. With the LC300S, you can add a 12G SDI connection directly into the device. Then we go to the LC200. Basically, this is the smaller brother of the LC300. It can do the same 4-channel inputs, 5-channel recording, 5-channel streaming. It has only 1 terabyte of local storage, or 2, this depending on the model you want to choose. But the limitation is here 1080p, while the LC300 is 4K, LC200 is 1080p, and we don't offer XLR on this particular model. And then we have our most price attractive model. It's the LC100 and the LC100N. What is the difference? N for NDI and the IHX. So this is a 2-channel recording. So we can record and stream 3 channels, but you have 2 channels as an input, 2 terabyte of local storage, and then again you have 3G SDI, HDMI, USB, and IP as an input. And on the audio side, you have USB in and XLR and line in. So basically, these are the 3 categories. I don't want to focus too much on them because every project is different. I don't want to bore you too much with the numbers. But basically, what do you need to remember from this? We have 4K device. Do you need 12G SDI? We have 4 channels 1080p, and we have 2 channels and the IHX at also 1080p. And then this is a last sneak I put into during the PowerPoint. This is the OIP60D. You will see I'm using this device. What is the OIP60D? I need to get any RTSP or any NDIHX stream into my PC. How do you do that? Told you before, you need a converter to HDMI, then HDMI to USB. This device will take lecture capture devices, cameras, and convert them straight into my PC. I am using this device to show you how to control multiple cameras and how to control our lecture capture system. So if there are no questions, I can go over to the interface of our lecture capture system. So up, I'm calling a preset. So you see, I have an LC100 here and an LC300 over here. Both have a screen. The LC100 screen is more for info, changing layouts, while the screen on the LC300 gives you a picture of the layout, and you can change. So apply, I go back to my screen. So voila. If I connect my touchscreen to the LC100 in this case, this is the layout that I get. You see, I have two inputs. If I want to change the input, I just have a drop-down menu. I can change between HDMI, SDI, IP. If I had NDI inputs, I can do. I can select a USB video, a USB audio, and then I can start playing. So you see, I have a camera, which is the TR40 front. I can talk to it. If I want to change into my PowerPoint that is over there about the AI box from Lumens, I can do. If I then want easily a picture-in-picture, voila, I create them. So these are the layouts that we talked about before that I can make with the free layout manager. If I want an overlay on top of it, I can do. If I don't want an overlay, I just select off. And then if there, I can add a background. These are the stock backgrounds. You can add as much backgrounds as you want into the system. And then here, recording, I can start recording here. I can start recording in front of the device, and I can start streaming. You see here, we have 3 streaming servers at the same time. You can set up the direction they need to go, an RTMP stream. They're now both the same, but I can set the resolution and the frames per second. On the audio part in here, I can see all the gains and the live feedback of the audio if I had connected it here on the bar. But I can have my HDMI or my IP inputs over here, input 1, 2, the XLR. I can give phantom power over the XLR. I can make up the USB gain. And then here I have a program level for the recording, and I have a leveler for the sound that is coming out over my HDMI. And then as a last, we have here the camera control. So we can control directly from the panel, the cameras. But you see here, the system will automatically detect, okay, channel 1 is a PowerPoint, so you cannot control it, but I can control channel 2. So if I start touching over here, voila, I can start controlling my camera. If it's an auto tracking or an auto framing camera like this one, I can start the auto framing directly from the device. I can stop. I can ask for a preset, and voila, I can get it back. So you see, you can control all of the inputs from here. This was a bit of the control of a system. When you have an LC300, it will look very similar, only you have a bit more options because you have more inputs. So you have more channel inputs, and you have also different types of input ways, but they will have a similar layout over here. Okay, Joris, you showed us now your lineup. You showed us how to control the devices, but okay, you missed something. How do you set up these devices? Voila, and that you can do or with an HDMI, and again, go into the setup menu of the device directly, or you can log into the system using a web browser. I will show you briefly what to do. System settings, they are just the name, network, output resolution of the display, adding the RC01s. Okay, I'm not going to talk too much about that. You can set up different accounts for different levels of people. We also have the editor If you click in here, you will see the same image as you saw before, but over the web browser. If you want that to be a different password, it can. And also your locally stored devices, it can be set up as a different password. But now we come more into the what do you need to set up before you can start. It's the network source manager. So what do we get here? In here, you see, I only have 2 cameras, but if I refresh here, it will give me all of the OMVIF devices that are available on the network. And I just click and add their admin and password, and I can start streaming. If I have another device that I cannot find through the OMVIF, I can just add here a stream. I can give it a name, give the RTSP URL code, URL stream, and I have them into my network. And then the video source manager, that is only, let's say, source will be named HDMI, but you want to give it another name. You have your cameras, we call them VCTR40 front. If you want to give them another name, you can do that here in the source manager. Afterwards, you need to set up your recording and your streaming. So here in the recording, I can set up, voila, I want to record only the mixed file, only the program, or I want to record the mixed file plus all the sources. You can select that. I want to do that at this resolution. For example, the recording you want to have at the highest possible quality. And if there is a USB key inserted in my device, don't store it locally, just store it on the device. It's on the USB key you set up here. And loop recording, default it's on. Basically, what is that? If your storage is full, yeah, it will start overwriting the oldest recording. And then you have some audio settings here and the file name. For the stream, basically, we have the same, For the stream, we have the same. So in here, we can select another resolution and you get the information about the bitrate, the group of pictures. So you can say, I want to stream out at a lower resolution. And then I can set up here my RTMP stream, enable the stream. It needs to be going to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, an SRT stream I can set up here. Then I just fill in my server and my stream key and I hit apply. What is always available here is an RTSP stream. So it's always sending out a stream. If it's an NDIHX device, it will also offer you an RTSP or an NDIHX out of the program. And then here we have the scene creator. I told you we have a free layout editor. So in here, you just create your layouts and you import the layouts in here. You do the same thing for the background and you can start creating scenes picture by picture, picture in picture. If you have a 4-channel device, you can make a quad screen, whatever you like, you create them here. And then we have the macros here. Again, the same thing. If I hit macro 1, I want this scene with camera 1 being preset 7 and camera 2 being preset 2. Voila. And there you go. You hit macro and it will change. And then the last thing, this is for courtrooms or from where they or any place where they need a timestamp. So we can log into to the cloud to get the official timing and add a timestamp into our stream or our recording for later analysis. And then we're almost there. You have the storage. The storage can be done on our internal hard drive. You just formatted it, or we can add up a USB stick it's better that when you plug in a new USB stick, that you format also the USB stick. That will maximize the capacity of your USB stick. And of course, we can also store directly on a NAS. What is the difference between storing on a NAS and doing a backup? When you're storing on a NAS, you more or less do that on a local network that you control. When you do a backup, you are doing this onto a server in the cloud. We always recommend to do the backup afterwards. So you store first on your device and then you schedule a backup. You can say backup immediately after a recording, or we can schedule that. Why would you schedule this? If you have 30 devices who are recording at the same time lessons, they are, for example, until 12 o'clock. If every device starts storing at that time, it will overload your network. So we say, okay, put them on a timing so that every device starts on a different time, or doing that during the night. And then here we have the schedule feature. You can manually import, but you can start scheduling from Panopto, Kaltura, OpenCast, or you add in, if I do periodic calendar, I just get my data from my Outlook. I connect my Outlook or my Gmail account here into this device. Whatever I change on my Outlook will be automatically uploaded on this system. And then we have a standby and wake up. If there is no external control, you can say every evening at that time, go to standby mode, and in the morning, wake up. And then the last page is the about page. Let's say this just gives you the serial number and all information. I just show you quickly the LC300. So you see, this is now the web control of an LC300. What is different between an LC300 and an LC100? On an LC300, you have a preview. So I can preview my scenes here, and I can then see my program. So you have a bit more flexibility in that case. And you see, with an LC100 and an LC300, you have a drop-down menu. You don't have the drop-down menu here, but you have all your channels lined up here. So if I make up different channels, they will be HDMI, an IP camera, HDMI, IP. So I don't switch over here. I switch in the video tab. And then I promise you the last. You see now, this is a video going over the OIP 60D, our device, coming from the camera in the back. If I want to import into my Teams, I now want to change the layout. Voila. You see, so what I have over here is the stream that comes from the LC100. I stream it on the network over RTSP. I put it available. I have my OIP 60D box, and I convert it into USB and plug it into my PC here, and you see the camera app is visible. So this OIP 60D is a device that can help me switch camera inputs. You see over here, and if I now go to preset 2, you see the lecture capture devices, but if I go to 3, you see this is our OIP 60D box, and if I move a little bit to the right, you see this is my control station. So what I do, I select my inputs, and then it will go straight to the OIP 60D box, who will then show you the image over USB. Voila, and this was now an overview of the lecture capture system. I want to say, are there any questions that I can answer? Let's see. Where is the chat? Matthias Schwartz. Okay, so the RC01 IP device. Yep, sorry. The only problem I had is I don't have the device here with me. But what is the device? It is, I will show you if my mouse wants to work. Go back to the PowerPoint. This is the device. And how does it work? You buy the RC01, and it comes with a PoE injector. So it gets power from the lecture capture device, sends it over IP to wherever you want to install it. And then the RC01P will take a backup of your USB stick, or for example, if you set up like in hospitals, you want to record on there, you want to record only on the USB stick, then in hospitals, for example, this is used for doctors, they have their panel, they want to record a session, we know it's only going to record on the USB stick, and after the session they can unplug and they have the only file or copy available of that recording. And that's the RC01, but you can remotely, if you don't want to program your recording, you can start and stop recording and streaming from this device over here. Oh, and I just realized I stopped the sharing, so my whole presentation was done without sharing. Are there other questions?
Yes, indeed, there is another question. Let me open the chat. Can you control the LC sys or the LC products with an external iPad?
We don't, to be honest, we don't have a dedicated app for that. But for example, at the ISE or the Infocom, we just use the web browser, the page. We just give you a link, and then the people open the page of the LC300, and then you can start controlling it. But there is no dedicated app, but you can do it over the web browser.
Thank you. Any more questions? Okay, doesn't look like. Joris, is there anything you would like to add?
I think for now it's okay.
Okay. If there may arise any questions after the presentation or after today's webinar, feel free to reach out to your Exertis account directly. Anyway, you will receive an email this afternoon or latest tomorrow morning with the recording of today's session with all the information and products we just highlighted in today's presentation. And like I mentioned before, if there may arise any questions afterwards, feel free to reach out to us directly. We will be happy to assist you anytime. Joris, thank you so much for this informative session this morning. I believe this is a great opportunity for all the customers who work with universities or also corporate applications who need to stream several sources to some application. Thank you so much, and I wish all of us a great day, and thank you for participating, and see you next time.
All right. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
a lot,
Have
Joris.
a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank
Great job,
you.
Joris.